Hey, we are back into Cosmic Frontiers. Now, as you can see, there is quite a big difference between how it was in the previous episode and this episode, and a lot of things have changed around the base. But before that, let's talk about Cosmic Frontiers. So Cosmic Frontiers is a mod pack that it is still in early development. As I mentioned on the first episode, I am mentioning it again, and that's because there's been an update. So if we come to the quest book, this is the Steam chapter, Rising Pressure, the first chapter we play through, and this is the old chapter. The whole Steam image has been reworked, and there are a lot of differences I would like to show you and to play, but I'm still working on the base. So yeah, Steam image has been reworked, there are a lot of changes, and it seems to be a quite fun experience to do. So after I update the mod pack, I will play through the Steam image first before continuing with progression. But before that, first I want to finish some stuff around the base. I'm saying that because this is the craft for the LV machine casing, and even this is going to change. It's going to take a new resource that can be done through occultism. So it is quite base breaking. A bit of the changes, some of the changes is not really that hard. I will need to change a bunch of receipts and include a bunch of automations, new automations, but that's why I want to first finish what I started with in the new base before upgrading. So yeah, most likely this is going to be the last episode before we update to the new version of Cosmic Frontiers and play through the Steam Age. For the Steam Age, I will be playing also in this world, but I'll just move maybe very far away and just play there. And then when I'm finished, I will come back to the base and include all of the changes into all of our crafting receipts and create new automation lines that we are going to be needing. Yeah, but before that, we need to finish some stuff around the base. And as you can see, there are a bunch of new places that I would like to show you, and they are still unfinished. So in this episode, we are going to finish with all of them, and most of them is everything about passive things. But before entering into that, let's just go around the base to see some changes and some new things that I've already finished implementing. So the first thing, I've already connected the EBFs and the multi-smelters into our AE system. This is not going to be the final setup. I'm most likely going to have two setups for EBFs. One that will be always passive, and the other one that will be for request receipts. This is because there are some materials like stainless steel, aluminum, and steel that I would like to have always on hand. And there are also other materials like blue alloy, nichrome, and canthal that I really don't need to have on passive, so they can be just requested. So it would be a good idea to have them in separated buildings and have some of them passive and some of them on request. The problem is that EBFs, they take a lot of energy, and I don't have a lot of energy. So that's going to be a plan for later. The next thing, I've moved the mana simulators into a new building, and I've built it a second one. These mana simulators, we are going to run them at HP, and my plan is to use lava to produce source. For that, we will need to pump lava from the nether. So that's something that we have to do. And down here, this is the Terra Steel line, and this is going to be changed, of course, to maybe have it passively as well. And most likely I'll move the galvanized Ender Steel here as well, and I will have that in passive as well. But again, I don't have that much energy, so that will have to wait for a bit just. The last thing is this small hut right here. If we go below, here I want to have a lot of different processes, and I've already set up 4 of them, which are they're very important for progression. The first one is nether sediment sludge. This is very simple. We only need a advanced cutter. This will cut blackstone pustules into blackstone bulb. We have this, that it is round robin the blackstone bulbs into an advanced nether catalyzer, which grows this into the clusters and goes back into the cutter to repeat the cycle. And then the other part goes to this mixer that, together with some ethanol, we will be getting the nether sediment sludge. The next one, sulfuric acid. Because we have now LCRs available, we only need a circuit 24. Circuit 24 for sulfuric acid is only sulfur plus water, and this will give us sulfuric acid. So it is very, very cheap, very simple, and very effective. The next one is saltwater electrolysis. We have an advanced flora nurturer, which together with some salt sand, nether sediment sludge, and salt sprout give us more salt sprouts. We are buffering some of them. The rest is going into this mixer that together with water will get us salt water. And this salt water we are distributing them into a couple of electrolyzers, which will give us sodium hydroxide, chlorine, and hydrogen. These two are very important. Sodium hydroxide, I still don't know what to do with this. There are a couple of things we can do. First one, we will be needing this in order to get sodium hydroxide solution. This is needed for the bauxite processing, something that we are going to be doing very soon. Sodium hydroxide is also used on tungstate, is that the word? In tungstate processing as well. Although this is not something that we are going to be doing very soon. This can wait. And with this we can also prepare some sodium bisulfate, which is both used in the plat line, although I think this one we can get it on a loop, and it is also used to be electrolyzed for some sodium persulfate, which is both an etcher for circuit boards and also used on the chemical bath to make to get some special dust from ores. So yeah, sodium hydroxide, I still don't know what to do with that. So for now, I'm just buffering it. And as you can see, we have 28,000, almost 29,000. That's too much. It is cluttering my system. And talking about things that are cluttering my system, 10,000 electrotin dust and 8,000 more to go. That is too much. But the good thing is that it gives us a bunch of electrum. So that is very nice. The last thing is the ethanol line. This advanced flora nurturer, same proper pearl with nether sediment sludge. This will give us both proper pearls and also overloaded pearls. The proper pearls, we are buffering them. There is really not that much use for proper pearls other than the flora nurturer for ethanol. In the future, we will also be using this for lava reagent. So I am buffering this. And in the new update, there is also another use for the proper pearls. So yes, it's something good to buffer. The overloaded pearls will go to a couple of nether catalyzers, which will give us ethanol. Now, there are a bunch of things that I want to do in this episode. So let's start with one of the most important, petrochemistry. So yeah, I want to passive the oil processing. So all of the heavy fuel, light fuel, naphtha, and gas that we can process. There are still some things I need to decide in some of these products. But overall, I want to get all of this started. But for that, we need the black gold oil. So we are going to grab one assembler on circuit 2 and we will throw all of these things, and it seems that I need to wait a bit. So yeah, I kind of need to wait until this craft finishes. It's going to still take a while. So yes, I'll see you back. I really didn't have to wait that much because I actually had these circuits on my inventory. So if we put this here, after 10 seconds we should be able to get our fluid drilling rig. And there is it. This is the place where we are going to be extracting oil. We don't have to do it underground. We can just do it on the ground above. But yeah, I think it's more simple and safer to do it underground. Here we are going to extract heavy oil. I really don't know which one will be better, if heavy or light oil. For now we will start with heavy oil. When we distill heavy oil, we will get more sulfuric acid, more sulfuric heavy fuel compared to light fuel, naphtha, and sulfuric gas. If we were to use, for example, light oil, we would be getting more sulfuric gas than the heavy fuel, light fuel, and naphtha. Regular oil is like a bit of everything, and with raw oil, we would be getting more naphtha and light fuel compared to heavy fuel and sulfuric gas. So yeah, we will go with the heavy oil, which will give us more heavy fuel. And there is the multi-block. Now we are going to have the output right here. This is an ender tank with everything black, and in this other side we will have the gas turbine, which will power the fluid, the drilling, the oil rig. And there is it. We are extracting heavy oil, around 250 millibuckets per second. Now this one we cannot overclock over more than the HV, so we cannot put 2 2 HV energy hatches, and then 4 gas turbines in order to overclock it to EV. If we were to use EV, we would need an advanced fluid drilling rig number 2. So this one we can overclock it to the next tier. But for this we need, we need to enter into EV, and we are not going to do that in this episode. And the same, the maximum tier this will handle will be EV, and the minimum HV. So yeah, this much is going to be more than enough. Now here in the resources facility, this is going to be the oil. I hate this, it is always it is always a storm. Anyway, here's where we are going to be processing all of the oil. I haven't finished setting up these ones because I want to do it together. We are going to properly process all of this. So that's why we have a distillation tower for sulfuric gas, one for heavy fuel, one for light fuel, and one for naphtha. But let's start with all of the process. So everything will start right here on this distillation tower. This is going to distill our raw oil, well, our raw heavy oil, and it is coming from here. Yes, it will take the oil from here. We'll store this in a super tank so we can have a buffer of heavy oil, and we can actually start processing everything. And every second, I think, every second we will be getting sulfuric heavy fuel, sulfuric light fuel, naphtha, and gas. These ones we will be buffering them in here. The thing is that in order to further process this, let me pause this for a while. In order to process them, we need to desulfurize them. And the thing is that there is a minimum amount of, there is an exact amount of fuel that we need to input into the chemical reactor in order to get the hydrogen sulfide from the, in order to get the sulfur from the fuel. So in case of refinery gas, it will be 16 buckets. For naphtha, 12 buckets, light fuel, 12 buckets, and heavy fuel, 8 buckets. Each one of these output hatches, they have a regulator, a fluid regulator pump, in which we'll take all of the fluids from here once it reaches 16 buckets. For the case of sulfuric gas. For naphtha and light fuel, whenever it reaches 12 buckets, and for heavy fuel, whenever it reaches the 8 buckets. And from here there is an interface, and these super tanks, they are all on auto output. Because we don't have any kind of storage for the fluids, we need to set a place for the fluids to go, and in this case will be this input hatch right here, which goes into this LCR. This has a storage bus. That means that whenever the fluid gets into an interface, this storage bus will say that this input hatch is going to be the storage for the fluid. So the fluid will go right here. It is attached for sulfuric heavy fuel, sulfuric light fuel, sulfuric naphtha, and sulfuric gas. Whenever we get into EV and we get access to the quadruple input hatches, I think it's going to be a better option to use these ones right here. And that way we really don't have to regulate the output of the fluids. But for now this is necessary, especially so this hatch doesn't get clogged. Now the desulfurication, it requires hydrogen, and it will output hydrogen sulfide. This hydrogen sulfide, we will electrolyze it into 2 buckets of hydrogen and 1 sulfur in this electrolyzer here. The hydrogen will go back into this input hatch, and then the sulfur, we will send it back into the system. So let's see if this works. I hope it works. There is it. And we should have sulfuric heavy fuel here. Nice. 8 buckets. Exactly what we need. Now we can activate this. And as you can hear, the electrolyzer, it electrolyzed the heavy fuel, and it turned it into regular heavy fuel instead of sulfuric heavy fuel. Now the output from here is connected into an interface. Again, another liquid. The interface, it will recollect the fluid, and it will directly send it into a cracker right here. I have 2 crackers. One is going to be for heavy fuel, and the other one is going to be for the rest of the fluids. That's because we are going to be receiving a lot of heavy fuel. Let me pause this for a while. We're going to be receiving a lot of heavy fuel compared to the other three fluids, the other three fuels. As you can see, we haven't received any other of the three ones. Each one has a storage bus, which will let the network know that this is the storage for that single fuel. In this case, we already have 16 buckets of heavy fuel. That is a lot. That is a lot. Now, there are two options when it comes to cracking. We can either choose steam or hydrogen, and inside those two, we can also choose if we want to crack it severely or if we want to lightly crack it. In this case, I've chosen steam. This is going to give us the most outputs. If we were to crack it with hydrogen, although it would give these outputs, which are also useful and actually are the most useful ones, I think it's going to be best to, get the most of it. So the cracking is really not that much time. For the severely cracking, it will take 8 seconds, and for the light ones will take 4 seconds. In the case of the light fuel, naphtha and sulfuric gas, we will be getting way less compared to heavy fuel. So that's why they are using one single cracker for those three. And heavy fuel, we will be getting a lot of them, and this will take 8 seconds to crack. So that's why we'll have its own cracker. So let's start cracking this. We can turn on this. And why is it not cracking? This has steam here. Also, I'm taking steam. I forgot to say that. We are making steam here in this fluid heater. This will make more steam than enough. And we are using P2P tunnels, fluid P2P tunnels, to transfer the steam. This is because the fluid P2P tunnels, they have basically almost infinite, or rather than infinite, they have a large transfer rate compared to regular pipes and other ways of liquid transportation. And because we are doing this locally, it's going to be best to use this. Now, I suppose this needs a circuit. Yes, this needs a circuit. So now with the circuit, we should be working, but let's also talk about the output. How are we going to handle the outputs? So the same as the steam, we are going to be using fluid P2P tunnels. Again, they have almost infinite, they have a large transfer ratio, and it's going to be simpler to transfer the outputs using this. And we are using this locally, so yeah, it is better. So below each distillation tower, we have a input hatch, which is also connected to a P2P tunnel. In this case, this one is connected to the heavy fuel one. So this side here. So I'm not going to connect these ones yet, because I want to first log the output. So we know that we are getting sulfuric gas into the place, naphtha into the place, and then the other one into its own place. We can turn this on, and this is going to be a bad idea because we are in a really enclosed space. And I forgot that the coils, they do irradiate the temperature. So we kind of have to be quick. We can turn on this and let's go out so we don't die. And we should be receiving some severely cracked heavy fuel, as you can see right here. Every 8 seconds we will get a bucket. And then we can just turn on this. And every 6 seconds we will get that many outputs. Too many outputs. We can pause this for a while. Now, if you notice one of those outputs, well, we can look at here. One of the outputs, well, two of the outputs will be two of the fuels. So for heavy fuel, it will be light fuel and naphtha. Those ones, we want to send them back into the cracker. So the same, we have the storage buses. So we can say to the network, okay, so we want those fluids in these storage buses. Now, the next thing is that we need to grab all of these liquids and set them into main fluid storage. So yeah, that's going to be quite the work. The good thing is that we only have to do this once. So we have toluene, we have benzene, we have butene, we have butadiene, we have propane, we have propene, we have ethane, we have ethylene, and we have methane. Too much gases. It's 1, 2, 3, 6, 9 gases from this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm missing three more super tanks. Well, not three, two more super tanks. So what we're going to do is put the fluid. We are going to lock it in each one of these. The thing with benzene is that there are some recipes that they do require benzene for the crafting. So that's why we are saving this in this fluid storage instead of the regular place. Now everything should be properly locked. This is looking more colorful. Look at all of those liquids. Now one last thing I want to say before moving on is that some of these liquids are useful and other ones they are not that useful. So for example, for ethylene and ethane, ethylene is the useful one. Ethane is useful, but not that useful. So we can do vinyl chloride, but vinyl chloride we can also use regular ethylene. However, ethane we can either steam crack it or hydrocrack it. If we hydrocrack it, we will get methane and hydrogen back. If we steam crack it, we will get ethylene and methane. This in between propane and propene. Propene is the useful one, but propane is not the useful one. So again, this one we can steam crack it to get ethylene and methane, or we can hydrocrack it to get ethane and methane. And ethane we can process it even further. For in between butene and butadiene, butadiene is useful on raw styrene butadiene rubber, and the butene is, I think it's also useful. For the ethyl butanol is used on this weird line in order to get D2-ethyl phosphoric acid, which is for the MRE processing, and only that. So yeah, there are some of these gases which I want to further process, but for now I'll just buffer them, and whenever we get better energy or whenever we need more of ethylene and methane, we will further process them. Now, with all of that said, we can grab some interfaces and we can start putting interfaces on each output hatch. And we are going to wait a bit on this side, which is going to be for sulfuric gas, because sulfuric gas, apart from propane, ethylene and methane, will also give us helium, which we don't have a place for it. So we need to wait a bit for that. But with that said, we can turn on the distillation tower and we can turn on this cracker right here. And the same with this other one. Now there is also a chance for carbon. For that we have an output bus here, which also connects to an interface, which is connected to main network. All of this black dense cable is connected to main network, and the orange one is connected to the subnet here on the oil processing. I forgot to say that we have a subnet for oil processing, and we also have a main network connection here, which is connected directly into the outputs of the distillation towers that distills the processed the desulfurized fuel. Oh, we are processing something that is light fuel, which we are going to lock. We also have naphtha. We can lock that, and we are only waiting on the other one, on the sulfuric gas. But for now, we can set this light fuel into one of those two P2P channels here. We can do it on this one. We are getting light fuel. The other one, for naphtha, we can put it on the other one. This is going to be for naphtha. Of course, let's turn on all of these machines. And yes, we are only waiting on sulfuric gas. Oh, there is no more space for sulfuric gas. Okay, that's why. We need a bigger buffer for that. I forgot to hit the unpause button. So I don't know how much I've just I was talking to myself only. But yeah, I mean, this looks very colorful. I've already connected everything, so sulfuric gas and the light fuel and naphtha and heavy fuel are being processed. Now, if we look at our fluid, look at all of this. This looks so nice. So many colors. Everything's so colorful. Yeah, everything is just so colorful. So nice. We need to work on nitrogen very soon. I am only 1,000 packets left. That is very little. But yeah, we have a lot of fluids and this is going to get even bigger. So yes, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. So it's been like maybe 2 or 3 hours and look at this, 1,000 buckets of methane, 400 and something buckets of ethylene. This is very good. This feels so nice. So this will just keep producing, and I've put a small super tank in here because I noticed that heavy fuel, this is just too much. This produces too much heavy fuel. And as you could see with the other three fuels, the light fuel, naphtha and sulfuric gas, it's just enough with one cracker. I will most likely need 2 crackers if I want to keep up with all of this heavy fuel. It's just too much. Too much heavy fuel. But the good thing is that this works. So it is fine. As long as it works, then it is just fine. And in these 3 hours, we've also depleted almost 20% of all of this thing. So yeah, it's pretty nice overall. I think it is nice. If anything, I will most likely, once that these pumps, that chunk gets depleted, I'll move it to another kind of how do you call it? Kind of chunk of oil chunk. So yeah, so it produces less heavy fuel because this is just too much. 1 million and a half buckets of, not buckets, milli buckets of heavy fuel. Now, up till now, most likely the episode will be very long and it is going to be longer. So sit back because we are going to be working a bit more on plastics. And the place we are going to be working the plastics at is right here in this small hut. So that hut there will have a bunch of different things. So like a variety of stuff. But right here, next to our oil processing, we will have our plastics and rubbers processing. And I have already kind of delimited all of the stuff that we are going to be working. We will have passive PVC, passive polyethylene, passive liquid rubber, and the most important and what we are going to start with, passive PTFE, because we need a lot of PTFE in order to to make more of the chemically inert machine casings. So tetrafluoroethylene, it is quite the craft. The regular craft that we have available up to now is using chloroform with hydrofluoric acid. It will give us 1 bucket of tetrafluoroethylene together with 6 buckets of hydrochloric acid. Chloroform, very easy, chlorine plus methane. Hydrofluoric acid, also very simple, hydrogen plus fluorine, hydrofluoric acid. And everything will give us tetrafluoroethylene. Now from here there are a couple of challenges. First, hydrofluoric acid. For this we need fluorine. Hydrofluoric acid we will also get from virulent processing, which is basically rare earth processing. We get hydrofluoric acid from this. But of course for this we need to get into the undergarden. We are not there quite yet. So for now I've set a small, I will set a small LCR for hydrofluoric acid. So the only things that we need to input is methane for chloroform and fluorine for hydrofluoric acid. And the only thing I will have to pay attention in all of this process is the fluorine, which is something that I have to process manually. Now, I said it is not the only things that we need to input, methane and fluorine. We also need to input hydrogen and chlorine, and then oxygen for PTFE. But yeah, basically, all of this process will depend on fluorine in order to make hydrofluoric acid. That's until we get into the undergarden and are able to do all of the rare earth processing. But let's start with all of this. So the first thing we are going to assemble the LCR, the first LCR that is going to be for chloroform. So for chloroform, we need to input both chlorine and methane. We should be getting both. And then we need to set this at circuit number 1. Now we need to change a bit the outputs from here. So there are 2 outputs, chloroform and hydrofluoric acid. Hydrofluoric acid, we are going to output it here and we are going to lock it. And then chloroform, we are going to output it right here on the front. Now this hydrofluoric acid will go into this electrolyzer up here, which is going to electrolyze it back into hydrogen and chlorine, which is actually part of a loop, but we won't be making the loop locally, so we are just going to recycle that hydrofluoric acid to send it back to the system. So for that we can also interface this and enable auto output. This one we can make it so it looks this way, so it inputs into this electrolyzer. Now this is going to be the input for the tetrafluoroethylene. But before that, let's make also the hydrofluoric acid. Now for hydrofluoric acid, we need to interface hydrogen and fluorine. Now fluorine, I don't have any. I need to process some ores in order to get fluorine. But let's imagine I do have fluorine. Now this should give right here hydrofluoric acid. We can lock this, and this we can send it to that site. Now the next thing is going to be tetrafluoroethylene. For this one chloroform and this one is for chloroform, so we can just make them kiss each other. In this case, this is going to be the input for the hydrofluoric acid. For this we can use regular pipes, so this should be just fine. Now something that I haven't checked, yes, I will need another kind of pipe. So we can use stainless steel pipes instead. This one can handle gases, and this will input into this LCR right here, which will make us tetrafluoroethylene, and this one will be the output. Now tetrafluoroethylene will also output hydrochloric acid, and this is yes, this is here, so we really don't need to worry much about that. And that hydrofluoric acid will be also recycled. Now the last step is going to be polytetrafluoroethylene. We will input oxygen, so oxygen, and then this one will output the polytetrafluoroethylene. We don't need to lock this one. However, we do need to set a aluminum fluid pipe here. This one is the output for tetrafluoroethylene, and we need to set these ones to circuit number 1. And that is the tetrafluoroethylene line. Very simple. We only need to provide this with some hydrofluoric acid, with some fluorine, so all of this can start. Do I have some mica? I have some mica. Now we only need to give maintenance to all of these machines, and we should be producing plastics like crazy. A lot of polyethylene, a lot of polyvinyl chloride. This is working just perfectly. And a lot of hydrochloric acid by the side. I mean, it really doesn't matter that we are producing hydrochloric acid, because we use this for iron trichloride, which we use for circuits. So yeah, it's not that bad. And I think we are out of ethylene. No, we are not out of ethylene. Then why is this so slow? Why is this not working? Ah, I suppose it's the input of this. Yeah, it is full. Oh, but yeah, this is just so fine. Having all of this on passive, it is just so fine. Feels so good. Look how our polyethylene is growing. Look at that polyvinyl chloride. Now the last thing we are going to be working here is on liquid rubber. This is going to be our main source of rubbers for now. We also have silicone rubber and styrene butadiene. I don't think there is... It is the same use. We can use rubber, liquid rubber, to coat, as well as the other silicone rubber. Now, of course, there are some cables we cannot really cover. As you can see, this has 240 receipts. This one has only 124, so it's like halved on receipts. Yeah, and one of the differences is that if the coating requires polyphenol sulfide sheets, then it has to use silicone rubber or styrene butadiene rubber. Now, I don't feel we are going to be using this in a very, very long time. The lowest tier I've seen up to now is LUV. So yeah, this is... We really don't need to passive these ones just yet. But liquid rubber, it is very easy to get. It is only sulfur and raw rubber pulp. Now for raw rubber pulp, we need a lot of resin. And of course, you might be thinking, yes, we have Create. That is super nice tree farm. Have you forgot about Ars Nouveau? In the beginning of the series, we set up a tree farm. Stay. The horses get to live. So at the beginning of the series, whenever we started setting up benzene, I showed you this kind of farm with Ars Nouveau, which is very, very effective and it is very quick. This is actually the way we are farming wood in order to feed our paralyzed ovens. This thing only uses a lot of source. That's the only limit. So as long as you can produce a lot of source, you can produce a lot of wood. The same, I'm also using this to produce regular oak logs. And here, as you can see, this is not working. Just so you can see how this works. Just look at this. This is quick. This is very nice. So yeah, anyway, I set the same for sticky resin. As you can see right here, we have a module for rubber saplings. So this will plant rubber saplings, and what we are extracting is the sticky resin. We have here more drawers for rubber logs, sticks, and green tea leaves, but this one has void upgrades, as we are not interested in these ones. What we want is a sticky resin. And of course, everything here is connected to our ME network. So what we can do here is, first, we need 19 blocks. So this is going to be our setup for liquid rubber. This is as well, again, very simple. First, this is going to be the output. We need to interface this. We have here two ULV input buses. One of these, we will be inputting sulfur dust. And up here, into this centrifuge, first this is going to look down. It cannot look down. Yeah, this is going to be better. This is going to be better. And we are storing the raw rubber pulp here on the bottom. And now with all of this, we only need to complete the multi-block again. I am missing one. I'm not missing one. I have it here. Maintenance. And this is producing us liquid rubber. Nice. Ah, very nice, very nice. Oh, this is very nice. This is very nice. It just feels so good to have everything passive, and especially the sound of the LCRs. It is so satisfying. On sulfur we have to worry about a bit, but I have a bunch more sulfur, which we can further process into more sulfur, which is something I think I'll do after all of this electrotin finishes processing. 14k, look at this. I won't need electrotin for a while, for a very long while. After some editing, I've been talking too much. The video is like, I think up to now 30 something minutes, 38 minutes, almost 40 minutes. But there's still at least one more thing I want to do before wrapping up, and that's going to be air distillation. So air, pretty much simple. We use a gas collector to recollect air, and this air we use to centrifuge it to get almost 4 buckets of nitrogen and 1 bucket of oxygen. If we were to freeze the air and convert it into liquid air, this one we can distill into a bit more of nitrogen, a bit more of oxygen, and some extra goodies like carbon dioxide, which we can electrolyze into more oxygen and carbon, helium and argon. Both helium and argon, they are used on DBF, and in the future we will also be using this for plasma. But I mean, this is something we really don't need to look at right now. There is also a new air that we have unlocked, and that is the either air. This one if we first freeze it and then distill it, we will get more nitrogen, we will get tears of the sky, we will get ammonia-rich aerocloud solution, carbon dioxide, which we again are going to electrolyze, more oxygen, thundering aerocloud solution, and argon gas. Argon is used for EBF, and then these 3 other fluids, tears of the sky, in the future we are going to be using for reagents and naquadine fuel. We can also make nutritious tears of the sky for the either augment sediment which is used on this industrial arboreal growth chamber, which we are not going to be using because ours is just better, and is also used on the floral nurturer in a lot of recipes, and basically gives twice the amount of products compared to the nether sediment sludge. And again, essence reactor growth reagent. The ammonia rich aerocloud solution again is for naquadine and also for tungstate, this for tungsten. And finally, the thundering aerocloud solution, we use this for concentration, and then this is for thundering mana. Thundering mana is used on wafers and for thunder boosted source diesel, which is something that we might do in the near future. And this is also used for naquadine. So it would be a good idea to start buffering some of those. There are two other airs, the nether air, which again we can freeze it, and we can get carbon monoxide, coal gas, hydrogen sulfide, neon, helium-3, and sulfur dioxide. The problem with this is that we need 100 buckets in order to start the recipe. That means that we need at least EV, and we don't have EV yet, so we have to wait for this. We also have ender air, which we can either centrifuge it into nitrogen dioxide and deuterium, or we can freeze this and use it for nitrogen dioxide, deuterium, helium, tritium, krypton, xenon, and radon. But this requires 200 buckets, and yes, this is IV. So again, nothing really that we have to worry about. So for now, we are only going to set up air distillation and either air distillation. So it seems the other is not working. Once I update, I'll just try it again. I suppose it's because of the version. So let's go with regular air. I suppose this will work. I hope so. So this is just circuit number 1, and this works. Nice. Let's pause this for a bit. We can auto output to the site. Now there is some air here, and this one we can start it. And it will turn the normal air into liquid air every 4 seconds. Now this one we will have to wait a bit. The buffer from here has to fill up to 50 buckets. And why is this? Because this is not connected. So we need to connect this as well. And maybe try again. There is it. And now the liquid air is going to be stored here. And whenever this reaches 50 buckets, it will start distilling all of the air. We also have here a small trash can, because there is a chance of getting crushed ice, and crushed ice really we don't need it for anything, so we can just void it. And now it is starting to process. It is 100 seconds. It seems a lot, but compared to centrifuging air, we get a small profit. So we get a bit more of nitrogen and oxygen compared to centrifuging the regular air. So yeah, don't let the time fool you. This is just fine. And there is it. There is the first cycle, and it should start. Well, it cannot start the next one because this is full. We need to export these fluids into mainnet. The way we are going to be doing this is different from what we were doing on the Petrochemistry. But first, we do need to have a place for argon gas, which we don't have. So yeah, we have one for helium, but we need one for argon. Now the second thing we need to process is carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide, I want to electrolyze this. So we have this electrolyzer here. We can have an storage bus with carbon dioxide. This is going to be insertion only. And then we can output the rest to the top. So for that we need an interface. Now that should be everything. We can bookmark all of the gases that we are getting from here. So argon, helium, oxygen, nitrogen. We can also bookmark carbon. And down here, what we can do is grab another storage bus. The storage bus will go on the subnet side, the interface on the mainnet side. Now they are kissing. This is going to be only on insert. And what we want to do is just put argon, helium, oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon. So if I'm not wrong, what this will do is all of these fluids, whenever they get inside an interface, they will go, okay, so this is the storage option that we have to insert all of these things. We are going to insert them here on the interface. And from the interface, it will go to their respective places on the mainnet. That is the idea. I hope it works. So let's start with the carbon dioxide. This one will go into the electrolyzer. Maybe it requires a pump. No. Oh yes. There is it. It worked. And this will go into the interface. And this, all of that should have gone into the... Where's my elevator? Here. It should go here into this interface right here. And back to main system. So the same. We can just put everything here. All of the interfaces. And everything's working now. So everything should have went into the mainnet. So if we look, for example, for argon. There is no argon. This should have went here. Where is my argon? This is still here. It's only the argon that it is still on the interface. There is it. I don't know what happened, but now we have a storage for argon. That was very weird. But now it works, and we are storing argon. Now both argon and helium, we are not really going to use them very soon. I mean, we are just going to buffer it. It's fine. But now everything should be just working. And we should be getting nitrogen and oxygen again. Since I moved to this new base, I've been like just depending on the few buckets I had from the previous base. So yeah, it is quite nice to have them back again. So I've been running around the base for a bit to see what other stuff I want to kind of passive or try to turn them into passive processes. But I don't think there is anything more important to passive. Now that I have free hydrogen and have this circuit number 24 for sulfur, we should be able as well to convert benzene into nitrobenzene. That's going to be a project for later, not for now. Because all of this setup, first, is not inside chunk boundaries. Just look at this, at this distillation tower. It's not inside a chunk. So I kind of want to change all of this. The other problem with our benzene setup is that it is not the best benzene setup, and that is because we are using a lot of HV machines. In GregTech, whenever you tier up, you will be consuming 4 times the power in order to produce the same item at twice the speed. So you basically, yes, you double the speed, but you also fold the energy consumption 4 times. And there is a better way of making everything more efficient and saving on energy. And that is by having all of the machines at LV. Of course, whenever I started planning benzene, that was not really something I could have done. But now that we have a more robust infrastructure, we can change all of this and turn it into an actual efficient setup. The thing with LV machines is that compared to HV, 4 LV machines will produce the same amount of resources compared to 1 HV machine. That is a lot of steel. There's a lot of steel, but we would save a lot on energy. But that's going to be a plan after replaying the Steam Age. So yeah, the most important things are finished. Projects for the future will be upgrading all of the setup into nitrobenzene, as well as redoing all of the setup itself. I want to finish all of the Botania zone as well. So having potent mana on passive, as well as having a proper setup for mana steel and terra steel, and thus also galvanized ether steel. I might want to design as well the blast furnace zone, so I can have a set of blast furnaces that will be used for passive things, such as stainless steel, regular steel, and aluminum, and another set of blast furnaces that will be used for on request ingots like nichrome, canthal, and maybe other future ingots like HSSG and so on. After that, I also want to expand a bit our storage. As you can see, this is starting to fill up. It is still fine. Maybe I just want to fill all of these seats remaining spaces that I have. And I want to redo my auto-crafting CPUs so I can do it as effective as I can. Now this is just working just fine. I'm using one for automation and two for auto-crafting. But the idea is to have a bunch dedicated for automation, like maybe 6 of them for now. And then another bunch, like maybe 4 of them for auto-crafting processes. Here on the Ars Nouveau zone, I have already connected the tree farm into our A2 system. However, I'm still missing to fix this all of this farming zone connected into the A2 system, as well as set up the weird sprigs, connect the amethyst columns into A2 system, and also set up my drink mist here on the tower. I have already moved all of the jars with all of the mobs that we want to farm, but I'm still missing the drink mist and all of the storage zone. Now that said, we really don't need to do all of that before progressing. My idea is to do a bit of all of those projects while I am progressing. So the next plan in the immediate future will be replay the Steam Age and show you guys how cool is the new Steam Age. And after that, not just after that, I will need to provide with all of the automation, the new automations into the base. But after all of that, we will be ready to further progress into the moon and into the undergarden, meaning that we can start with rare earth processing and also the plat line, as well as they can look into these new ores like the luminite, eutherium, and luminescent eutherium. So yes, overall, I am very excited. But anyway, this is going to be the end of the episode. I know this is quite a big episode, so if you're still here, very thank you for watching. And I mean, I suppose, yeah, it is cool to have a long episode after 3 weeks without Cosmic Frontiers, so it is quite nice. And as always, if you're still here, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a better day, because it can always be better. And I'll see you on the next episode. Bye!